Starfield's PS5 launch is a broken mess. Oh, we're gonna watch this. This is going to be fun. YouTube is trash, like always.
I don't know how it's possible to
Of course, loud noises.
so consistently launch games broken or in technically shoddy states. That's something that Bethesda is widely known for, while there are a lot of games of theirs.
Oh, the answer is very, very easy. Incompetence, and on top of that, a bad engine. Yeah, just told you.
That are beloved and highly appreciated. The technical state in which they launch is something, you'd think that they would definitely fix over the years, or at the very least mitigate, but it feels like it keeps happening.
They don't
and
care.
them being, among the biggest game developers and publishers, it just feels less and less acceptable over the years, especially when it's an existing game that you've already released. So let's talk about Starfield and the latest discussions surrounding it. Starfield recently saw the launch of the Free Lanes update that adds the ability for you to actually physically travel to planets instead of having to just dig through menus and go through loading screens, which makes the traversal aspect in space a little better. And alongside that,
I can already see why this would cause problems on a PS5.
The game saw the launch of its Terran Armada DLC, but you can see right here that it's ultimately been received with mixed results, with 45% score on Steam from 506 users. And the main complaint is that it's very short and repetitive, and there's just...
So it's a Bethesda game. Repetitive equals Bethesda game. And Ubisoft. Who could have guessed? Oh, and Blizzard. Activision,
not a whole lot of substance to this story, despite some interesting ideas, and it just felt like they could have done more with it. And while we have seen an uptick in the total number of players engaging with Starfield, with the game once upon a time being in like the mid thousands, but kind of going up to about 30,000 players at its peak after the release of this update and DLC, and now averaging, closer to 20,000.
Well, it has more players than Marathon, but it's also visually more appealing, so it's not hard.
24-hour peak concurrent players. The increase wasn't as substantial as one might have hoped. If this were any other game, any other Bethesda title that was more well received, then the launch of new content would have seen significantly more players jump on board. And so that's an aspect that's seen middling results. But then comes the launch of Starfield on PlayStation 5, which released on April 7th alongside the free update, alongside the DLC. Keep in mind that Starfield was kept as an exclusive for Xbox after Xbox and Microsoft bought out ZeniMax and Bethesda Softworks and everything under that umbrella. And it isn't until recently that they decided to break the exclusivity and release Starfield on as many platforms, competing platforms including...
Because they want money. They want money. That's all that is there. That's not, oh yeah, we have to satisfy the player needs or anything like that. Oh, we want to do something good for the players. No, it's just money, which I don't give a fuck about. What? Yeah, of course they want to make money. Every company wants to make money. It's just the product is not that, great. And we are watching this video, so very obviously the PS5 version is not very great.
PlayStation 5, and that has finally happened. But the thing is that the PS5 and PS5 Pro versions of Starfield are facing a lot of technical issues that are just commonplace with Bethesda.
The game's still good. The game is still good. The game never was good. It was mid. It was a mid game, and it still is a mid game. And it always had technical issues. This guy is an idiot, which is not surprising. He's a games journalist.
Games, but these are issues that could potentially prove to be game breaking or make the game unplayable for a lot of people because of the frequency in which these issues happen. So Digital Foundry came out and highlighted a lot of the problems that the PlayStation 5 version of the game faces, talking about a litany of performance and stability woes. The PS5 Pro version encounters novel PSSR problems and a confusingly large number of modes and settings. And then scrolling further down, you'll find that Digital Foundry talks about how both PS5 and PS5 Pro versions of the game crashed somewhat regularly during testing, a phenomenon that didn't affect the Xbox Series release on launch. But even the Xbox version of the game has seen a bit of a downgrade, with Digital Foundry reporting that the Xbox Series X version of the game also seems to have regressed technically. While there are no crashes unlike the PlayStation version, apparently there are new stutters in the opening sequence and other demanding scenes that weren't there before, so the performance of the Xbox version is worse than it was before. Usually with
might be they deployed a patch and the patch, something went wrong. The same happened to me yesterday. I don't know, for whatever reason, Path of Arc Raiders now runs worse on my machine. Why? No idea. Literally no idea what's going on there. It was fine the last time I streamed on Wednesday and yesterday. Oh, yeah. Yeah, low FPS. Why?
With updates, games are supposed to get better. And then other lackluster elements include the HDR implementation. Digital Foundry calls it subpar, with Starfield essentially delivering SDR in an HDR container. So yeah, combine all of these things, the crashes, the PSSR artifacts, performance woes, alongside things like broken VSync toggle, setting changes not persisting, and a lot of these like death by 1,000 cuts and a couple gashes. What you get ultimately is a PlayStation 5 launch that should not be deemed acceptable, and that a lot of people are.
Isn't that just Bethesda launching a game? That's literally, I've never heard anything. I mean, this is not an exceptional thing. That's just Bethesda releasing a game. When was the last time you heard about a Bethesda game releasing and it didn't have problems? It doesn't matter that this is just, oh yeah, we bring it to PS5. It's just a Bethesda thing. It's just a shitty company with incompetent people using an engine that's not up to par. It's way too old. It's too clunky. The shit that's in there has never been fixed. It's just a trashy engine. And people have to work with that, but they can't get over the flaws of the engine because they're too big. They're too big.
Saying I can't play this until these issues are fixed. And this is something that's already been making the rounds on social media. There's already a topic on Twitter that reads Starfield PS5 launch hits, crashes, and refund requests, with this summary reading that 1 week after its April 7th PS5 debut, alongside the Free Lanes update and Terran Armada DLC, Bethesda Space RPG has drawn complaints of frequent freezes, save glitches, and crashes on both base and pro models of PlayStation 5. Influencer Destin Legery captured a tutorial crash just 6 minutes in, while others report over 20 crashes, prompting Sony to approve some refunds despite policies. When Sony and PlayStation approve a refund, then a game is truly in a dire state, because they're usually very strict about that stuff, where once you make a digital purchase, that purchase is final. Bethesda confirmed on April 14th they've identified...
Which should be against the law. Just straight out, should be against the law. Because if you buy something, wherever, something physical, you can, to a degree, have a right, at least in Germany, to, say, yeah, no, this isn't working out. Give me my money back. If it has a flaw. It should be the same here.
Causes and plan a hotfix this week as Xbox and PC versions run smoothly post patches. Here is the Bethesda statement in question saying, "Thanks for sharing your adventures across the settled systems this weekend. We have loved reading them. We're aware of some reported PS5 crashing issues and have narrowed them down to a small number of causes. We're addressing these in a hotfix we're aiming to release this week. Thanks for flagging, and we'll keep you posted." And that's great that they're working on it, but the fact that this is the launch state of Bethesda titles so consistently, where it always takes some weeks for them to fix pretty essential stuff like, the game not crashing, and the fact that Bethesda games generally have had modders fix most of their games, all of that persisting even in 2026, it's just starting to get egregious at this point. I mean, looking at a game like Crimson Desert that has already been fixing a lot of these issues just weeks after its release with consistent updates, where the rollout of updates is so quick that it's garnered a lot of positive attention. Like, that's the model people are hoping Bethesda's able to follow. But, to this day, a lot of issues that permeate the various games that they've released persist in future ports and, next generation versions of these titles. But yeah, Starfield's...
If you are someone that's getting excited about Bethesda releasing a new game and you think that you won't have problems, you're stupid. You're literally just stupid. The history of this company has already shown, for over a decade now, every game they release has massive problems. Every game. Now, if they made the game, if they just publish a game like Doom, I've never heard that the Doom games of id Software, while they were being, published by Bethesda, had any problems. But games that are made by Bethesda themselves, they have always problems. Always. So if you buy a game from Bethesda on launch and you expect anything else than a mess, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I don't feel bad for you at all, because you knew that would happen. And if you didn't, you're an idiot. How am I? Well, ranting. Ranting like always.
PlayStation 5 technical woes and issues aren't an isolated incident. You can just about see everyone experiencing similar things. So Destin right here posted this clip highlighting how during the tutorial section of the game did in fact crash. The game crashed on me 6 minutes into the tutorial, and you can see right here the game is frozen right now. And it just straight up something that he had to exit out of and restart. And then on Reddit, you'll find plenty of folks talking about how on base PS5, there are crashes everywhere and how the crashes are getting out of hand, making it playable. And in the comments section of this post, plenty of others are highlighting similar things. Here we have a PS5 Pro user sharing their settings and talking about how they've experienced consistent crashing, mostly when scanning and exploring. I haven't even left Crete yet. When I say crashing, it's more a freeze. It's not crashing to home screen. The game freezes and forces you to quit the game, which is exactly what we saw with Destin's video and post. Somebody else responded saying, "Mine crashes straight to dashboard. I've turned off all I've read to turn off. I've started a new save. Don't do it. Currently unplayable," which really sucks. A lot of PS5 players were looking forward to checking out Starfield because the game was inaccessible to them, only to find out that on launch day, it just doesn't feel like a game with enough technical integrity. The game just doesn't feel reliable enough to engage with it right now. And that's only going to, just further negatively impact the optics surrounding Starfield, whose optics are already fairly mixed. Here's somebody else saying, playing on PS5 Pro, constant freezing and crashing while building ship, also while scanning planets. Since launch, had over 20 freezes and crashes, unplayable. So very similar feedback across the board from...
Sounds to me like the average Bethesda game. Yeah. Same old story. Bethesda releases a game is trash. Oh, wow. Yeah, of course.
multiple users. Somebody else saying that saving is completely broken too. It'll just randomly come up and say, unable to create save game during situations where you absolutely should be able to save. People are getting fed up enough that they're coming out here and saying basically like, I'm gonna just go for a refund and move on. Classic Bethesda, people are saying, because again, this has become such a commonplace thing for this company. And others also reporting, is anyone getting failed to create save game error? This isn't just an isolated incident to one user. Multiple users, tons of people are experiencing similar issues and are all basically saying the same things. Somebody else here saying that surveying planets not only causes slowdowns and stuttering and performance issues, but can lead to freezing completely and basically a game crash that forces you to quit and restart. Here we have somebody else experiencing one of the most egregious versions of this issue, stating that they can't even land on any planets or try to do anything other than sit on their ship because otherwise the game will just crash.
So, oh my god. How is this a thing that you literally can't do anything in the game without it crashing? Oh my god. And the thing is, I mean, the PS5, that's just, everyone has the same hardware, literally. So, man. So it can't be that the hardware is a problem. It's literally the software that's a problem. 100% the software. So it's 100% on Bethesda. The hell are they doing?
Basically making it impossible to progress through it at a pace that makes it a fun experience without it being a disruptive aspect of the experience. Some people are saying that, you know, turning off autosave worked and fixed the crashes, which is something that you shouldn't even have to do to fix it. But folks who have tried this are saying that even though they've turned this off, the game continues to crash. So it's not a universal solution, not even a little bit. Here's one more saying, yeah, I've shelved this game. I've called their tech support line and left a message and submitted a ticket. I've done every single troubleshooting step, and it's the only game I own that hard freezes like this constantly and so consistently. I feel seriously ripped off. I want to play it because I like what I actually did get to play, but this is actually...
What do you... Why do you like the game? Because what you did in the game, you can... Everything that you can do in the game, you can do in other games. Literally. Just go and play, how's it called? No Man's Sky. Just play No Man's Sky. It's way better than Starfield. And it's not even close. It's not even close at all. Just go and play No Man's Sky. A way better game with way more content. Man. Stop playing broken games.
BS. So even people who are
I say by playing Arc Raiders, which is broken. At least for me.
Enjoying Starfield and who want to enjoy the game are unable to do so because the technical issues are so extensive. Here we have one final bit of feedback where somebody said, I've tried all proposed fixes and saved, uninstalled, and reinstalled, but apparently this only made everything worse, with this user saying that now the game won't even load. This is beyond ridiculous. Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And they had all this time to ensure that the PS5 version of the game is at the best state possible. The fact that even 2.5 years after Starfield's launch, you can see ports and releases that are this broken and even regresses existing versions like the Xbox version, whose performance is apparently worse after these updates. It all goes to highlight a development pipeline that needs serious rework if they don't want this to be the constant and the thing that becomes normal.
No, they have to get rid of the engine, which they said they will. They are going to use Unreal Engine now. As if that would actually make a lot of a difference, because Unreal Engine is not perfect. Which we know because it's so resource hungry that you have to optimize the game. And if you don't optimize the game, then the game runs like trash. Which we know because Arc Raiders runs fine. It's Unreal Engine 5. Other games, which have way less going on, they don't run fine. So yeah, I don't think that Bethesda can do it. I don't think so at all. They should be a publisher and nothing else. They should close all their development studios and just Publish. That's it. Stop making your own games. You are too incompetent for that. Anyways.
For Bethesda, whose games are beloved, but these kinds of technical issues hamper their ability to really stand up there among the greats in this modern day and age, where open worlds have become a lot more mature and a lot more technically proficient, and have in many ways surpassed Bethesda, who once upon a time were known as the masters of open world games. But that's a crown that Bethesda can no longer wear when so many other open world games have not only launched in a more technically sound state, but have done more impressive.
What do you mean technically sound? And they just work. If a game simply on a technical level just works, it's above Bethesda games. It's not even, it's not magic or anything. If a game works, it's better than a Bethesda game. And that's really, really sad. If that is the standard, which I have for games, if they work, they are good, And Bethesda can't even do that. That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
Things with the open world game design and technical things like making everything seamless instead of having everything be split up by cells and loading screens. So yeah, this is just disappointing to see that even Starfield, which was again among the more polished games that they released when the game initially launched, can still see ports that are this broken and that require.
Starfield was one of the more polished games they released. Wow. Just wow. I mean, I remember the mess that Fallout 76 was. Damn, that game sucked dick. And I guess it still does. I mean, even with the improvements, I would never play that shit. Because, it's Bethesda. Bethesda games aren't worth playing, actually. I truly believe that. They aren't worth playing because of all the problems they have. And gameplay-wise, they are so meh that you play other games that do the same things, but they're just better. And they run better and have less problems, So, why Bethesda? Why? Oh, because they're such a great company? No, that they aren't. Oh, they created all these great games. Yeah, and they were all broken when it came out. And they were fixed by modders. Bethesda, I think the times when Bethesda were a great development studios that created great games, they are long gone. Those times are long over. 15, almost 20 years about that, yeah. I would say. It's over for Bethesda.
Days and weeks before people are able to engage with the game in a way where it isn't so disruptive and so technically shoddy that it makes it not a fun experience, even those who would have fun with a version of Starfield that is technically sound. So yeah, this just sucks, and hopefully in the end, in the long term, everything gets rectified. But in the meantime, I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the state of Starfield, especially the PlayStation 5 version, and what your experience has been like if you've played Starfield on PS5, and what your take is on the new update and the new DLC. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on YongYea. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.
No, you don't do that. You don't do that. Can you stop YouTube?
Alex Kurtzman is about to be erased. Not fired, not retired, not replaced.
Can you stop? I hate YouTube so much.
I don't know how it's
so much. Okay. Let's see the comments a little bit. PlayStation still getting the true Bethesda experience. Oh yes. 100%. 16 times the detail, 16 times the bugs, 16 times the crashes. Yeah. The thing is, he's absolutely right about that. Absolutely. Bethesda, but it's a feature. it being broken is part of its charm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, these are so good. Bethesda forgot they can't expect the modders to fix this. Yeah. I have the strangest feeling of deja vu. Yeah. I wonder why. I didn't even realize Starfield had even launched on PS5. No one did. With the exception of the poor souls that bought it. It doesn't matter if Bethesda is independent or under Microsoft. Bethesda is Bethesda. Yes. I mean, let's be fair. Microsoft is not a good company. They're trash. I genuinely believe that Bethesda does not have a QA department at all. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Why else would there be so much shit if they had one? Hey you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? What? Walked right into that Imperial ambush. Same as us. And that thief over there. What? What is it? What is this comment? Bethesda works like everyone is talking, taking an 8-hour coffee break every day. Yeah. They have to fire everyone. They literally have to fire everyone.